Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Let me just make sure that we are live in our platforms. Oopsie, where is my live? Our platforms. Okay, awesome. Here we go. Oopsie, where is my live? All right, that is going well. And I'm just hoping that that comes on as a actual. Sometimes it doesn't share straight away, so bear with me if that is the case. Yep, that is the case. Let me just edit. Here we go. Huh, it's not letting me. I'm not quite sure, but for some reason my live on my personal page always says only me, and I have to edit it after. So not quite sure about that, guys. So my apologies. It is not wanting me to edit that. Okay. So nonetheless, we are live on several platforms today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 platforms. So that should be good enough. And I'm hoping that you guys get to catch me in those. So I'm sure you guys are just waking up. I mean, some of you are just waking up right now, or perhaps still feeling last night's celebrations, right? Others are probably just getting organized for the New Year's, especially those of you that are in the US. So, again, happy New Year to all of you. Here in Fiji, I'm still full of yesterday's feast. We had a huge, amazing feast from Rudy's Trattoria and Grill. I'm outside in our balcony, so you're hearing some of the cars passing by. So I hope that's not disruptive and you guys are hearing me, because I just wanted to come on, um, you know, and greet all of you a happy New Year. I am coming very raw because I'm still, again, full and a bit exhausted from, the preparations leading to yesterday. So we always believe that the way we start our New Year is the way the rest of the year is going to go. So I wanted to make sure everything was clean in the house. And so we did a lot of preparations to welcome the New Year's last night at 12 midnight. But again, being very real, no makeup, my usual shirt, and just wanting to be grateful and say thank you to all of you that have been following us, and to be able to connect with you and just say hello. And again, Happy New Year. The New Year's is an amazing time of the year. It's a time where we're reminded that we can restart, we can reboot. It's a great time to just do a reset of how life has been, not necessarily a big reset or a dramatic reset, but we could do it as a quiet opportunity to just pause, look back at the challenges that we've had, that we've faced, learn from those, and whatever didn't work out, we can consciously change and carry forward whatever was that worked beautifully last year. New Year's gives us the space to reflect, to adjust, to pivot, sometimes to just recreate parts of our lives that we weren't happy with. And I'm not very big with resolutions. I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions, because I feel like New Year's resolutions actually create more pressure to change, pressure to do things right now. What I actually love about New Year's is more like the gentle part of it, where, it's so exciting because that this year, the new year that's come, is an invitation you know, to change what it is that you want to change in your time, not necessarily straight away. And it also is a great and supportive way to just say, you know what, if there were things that didn't work out last year, it's going to be different. I don't know about how your 2025 was, but I was reflecting on my 2025, and I realized that 2025 was really a difficult year for me. It was stressful, it was emotionally heavy. It included the loss of my sister. And that kind of loss doesn't just happen in a moment. You don't just feel it during that moment. It creates a ripple. It creates ripples long before the death and long after. And I share this not for sympathy, but because life teaches us something really important through those experiences. It teaches us that there is a time to push, a time to create balance, a time to, a time to be sad, a time to laugh, a time to just, you know, allow yourself to go through what it needs to go through, right? And this year for me is about rebalancing. It's about gently restoring myself emotionally, physically, mentally, turning back to nature to see what supports us. I love how the universe actually gives us a quiet, like a simple nudge. It quietly and simply actually shows us there is a path that we can follow to rebuild, to restore, to reconnect, you know, with our sense, our body, with our well-being, with our happiness. And that's what I want. And I want to invite you to join me in that. If you've felt out of balance, jolted in 2025, if you found yourself stressed, exhausted, emotionally stretched, 2025 I felt was such a roller coaster. It was I think very congruent to what they said the year of the snake was supposed to bring us. And if you're in that space, if you've experienced that, then I think this January, join me. I do want to show you something really practical, because every January, every year, every start of the year, I actually go through my herbal stocks. I look at what's running low, what needs refilling. And for those of you that are just joining me now, I'm a herbalist and a naturopath, and very passionate about my plants. And so at the start of the year, I always go through my inventory. I look at what extracts I need to remake. And as I was doing that today, one thing became really clear. I needed to come back to stress and how it showed up in my body, and how that created cortisol imbalance in my system. So, for those of you that are not very um, clear about what cortisol is, for those of you that might not have heard it, cortisol is our stress hormone. So when stress becomes a constant, which I felt 2025 was for me, cortisol actually stays elevated. And that affects our sleep, our energy, our weight, our mood, everything really. And it also affects how safe our nervous system feels. So if you've noticed those changes in your body, if your energy levels are low, if you felt that you've been in an emotional roller coaster, your emotional resilience hasn't been the same, then chances are that it's a form of elevated cortisol levels. And I'd love, love, love to invite you guys to walk with me over the next few weeks as we, just gently reset our stress levels and set ourselves up for a calmer, more grounded, and a great start for 2026. So, one of the things that I love, actually, let me just remind all of you, you can put your comments in. Let me know where you're joining us from. Again, it's several platforms. So I don't know where you'll be joining us from. I'm just seeing who's watching. So say hello. Let me know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, rather. So one of the things that I love about herbs, about herbalism, is that, and nature, is that, we're often already, we usually have what we need around us. We have what we need growing around us because nature gives it to us. It's the way nature kind of gives us a nudge and says, hey, this is the path you're supposed to be taking. Okay. Usually we find what we need in our gardens, in the parks, along pathways, and very often in the form of weeds. Plants that grow where we don't want them, plants that we want to spray, we want to get rid of, we want to ignore. usually are the most amazing herbs that you will discover. And yet, more often than not, these very herbs that can nourish our bodies, repair our nervous system, rebalance ourselves, are the ones that we want to get rid of because we don't know about them. So, I truly believe that many of these plants are actually there and grow where we can see them, because that's nature's way, or the universe way, of offering us a chance to rebuild ourselves. So today, as we begin this new year together, I want to start by sharing how we can use herbs gently, practically, and intentionally. So we can use herbs to support our stress, our cortisol, our sleep, our nervous system. And I want to share it with you in the simplest way so that we start with what we already have access to. Okay. I'll also be sharing some of the herbal concoctions I'm going to be creating from home, for my husband and myself. And if learning how to create your own remedies, build confidence with herbs, and reconnect with nature actually something that speaks to you, I'd love to invite you to join my herbalism class, which starts on the 17th of January. So that's a Saturday. And my classes for herbalism will be mostly on Saturdays because I want to be able to get as many people coming in and joining live. So if, for example, you can't join, as I said on my description here for this live, you can access the replays. But live is always the best way to go. Okay? All right. So just checking where you're all at. So the next question I guess that you'll be asking is, what herbs can we actually look for around us that helps support our body, and in this case, stress and balance cortisol. So one of the most beautiful things about herbs and herbalism is that, as I said, we have it around us. And I'd love to share this example with you. Here in Fiji, one of the most amazing things that happened here is I noticed one of these amazing herbs, one of my favorite herbs, actually growing literally on the palm trees along my driveway. So I'm going to show you which palm tree that was. And all right, so if we can see that, that's our car. That's the palm tree. And it was literally growing on the base, not on the soil, but on the base of that palm tree. So that's how amazing that herb was. It was growing in the base, and I recognized it. So I decided to get it and replant it. It's the herb called gotokola, or it's also known as Indian pennywort. Let me show you where it's at now. And I actually replanted it so that I can propagate it. Okay. So I've got two of these spots. And if you've never seen gotokola before, let me share with you how the leaf looks like. So that's the gotokola leaf. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful herb. So the gotokola that was just literally growing as a weed here is actually an amazing herb. It's a traditional herb used mostly in India, Ayurveda. So when I picked that up, I did so because, again, as I said, it's one of the herbs that I actually love using because it's great for stress, great for mental clarity, great for nervous system support. Traditionally, it's used to calm the mind, support circulation, and it gently brings your body back into balance. So, especially during periods of emotional or mental overload, or when you're wanting to heal yourself from that. So, what's important to understand about that simple herb is that it doesn't actually force cortisol down. It's not like those pharmaceutical suppressants. So, don't be afraid of it. Instead, it actually works more intelligently. It gently stimulates and regulates the nervous system, but without acting like caffeine. Okay. So, it is an adaptogen, but it doesn't act like caffeine, or it doesn't act like ginseng. Instead, it helps the body respond to stress more appropriately. It's especially helpful when cortisol has been chronically elevated. Again, as I said, when you're going through morning, when you're going through a very stressful time in your life, or when you're going through chronic stress. Okay, so when you're going through that, go to cola. It's your go-to. Okay, it is amazing as well for mental fatigue. When you're wired up, when you're feeling like you need to keep thinking, your brain constantly thinking, but you're exhausted. When it's also great when you're cortisol driven. If 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 cortisol in your system actually creates anxiety, worry, nervousness, or even system overload, that's another thing that it's good for. It's also great for trailing spouses like myself, especially when you go to a new place, when you're overwhelmed with the different things that you're learning about the place, or when you're trying to figure things out. It's great for everyone, not just for trailing spouses. If you've got this pressure on yourself as well to try and change things because 2025 sucked, this is a herb that you should go to. So if you happen to find this plant growing near you, again, let me just grab it. Here it is. Okay. When you find this, and if you guys live here in Fiji, again, this grows in Fiji. This grows in Sri Lanka. We have this almost everywhere in Sri Lanka. You can buy it in the markets if you actually can't grow it. I grew this in Canberra as well. In Canberra, it's known as Indian pennywort, so it's not difficult to find. You can buy the plant, or you can just buy the herb, or um, go to the markets if you're in those Asian countries and buy it fresh, right? Again, amazing herb to have. Another experience I'd love to share with you happened when I first started living in Australia. I had a plant in my garden that I kept pulling out. So again, I think that sounds very familiar. When you're trying to set up your garden for the first time, you see all these things growing, you want to landscape your garden, you pull stuff out. And I was doing that. And whatever I did, it kept coming back, and that's how a lot of the herbs work. That's the characteristics of a lot of our herbs. They just keep growing. They actually thrive in a stressful environment, and that's why they are great herbs. And so this plant just kept coming back, and it wasn't until I asked my gardener and learned what it was that I realized, oh my god, I shouldn't be pulling it out. It was violets. I knew violets from my studies. I have studied it so much that I loved the herb, but I've never seen them growing so freely. So once I got introduced to the herb, I stopped pulling them out, and I actually just let them grow wild in my garden. Because violets, for those of you that have it growing in your garden, is a gentle nervine. It's an amazing one that calms your nervous system. It actually eases emotional tension, irritability, overwhelm, anxiety. And I keep saying that it was growing wild in my garden because I was stressed. It was when I first moved from the Philippines to Australia, and everything was new in that environment. And so it was the universe saying, "Hey, go get this, use it, calm yourself," right? It soothes stress, and it is a great one for your mind and your emotions. Okay, when the nervous system calms, the stress signals to the adrenals actually soften. So that's why it's really good, because when you take violets, it helps you lower your cortisol levels naturally. So you're not forcing it down, you're working through how the nervous system works and reacts to its environment. Okay, so traditionally, violets have been used for anxiety, it has been linked to grief, sadness, shock. Um, you know, it's also used for tight chest feelings, heart centered feelings. Many people experience this during stress, and it's great for sensitive, empathic, or emotionally overloaded individuals. Okay, so this is especially important to understand because emotional stress is one of the biggest drivers of chronic cortisol elevation, particularly in women. So if you are going through this, check out violets in your area. plant it in your garden because you don't have to work hard to make it proliferate and for you to be able to use it. Violets are also mildly sedative, but in a very gentle way. They help quiet racing thoughts, without making you feel heavy or dull. Let me move out of here into the house because that's a lot of noise that you're hearing from outside. Okay, so where was I? We were talking about violets. So, violets actually help you even with your sleep. It supports your sleep. It is great to balance your cortisol rhythm. It's it just it's just an amazing herb all around. Now you can hear Juke. Juke's the one complaining here. Okay. So, you know, we have, again, as I said, all these amazing herbs growing around us. We have lemon balm as well that you can grow or you can get from the shops. Chamomile is another amazing herb, ginger and cinnamon. So there are many beautiful herbs that you can intentionally grow at home or easily find in local markets that can actually help you with your body, with your emotions, with your sleep. And the ones that I've just shared with you, lemon balm, chamomile, ginger, cinnamon, are amazing, amazing examples of herbs that support the nervous system in different ways. Some of them calming, warming, stabilizing blood sugar, as well as helping the body feel safe enough to relax. And that's what you need. You need your body to have that, feel that, to balance itself, to balance your cortisol levels. Cinnamon, though I mentioned that you can plant it because I did plant that in Canberra, cinnamon can be a little bit trickier to harvest yourself because it's the bark that's used medicinally. So, in that case, and you have to wait it to grow into a big tree. In that case, you can actually just buy cinnamon. But it's an amazing thing to know that you can actually grow these herbs. Okay. There are also amazing herbs that you can just access through the markets. I love visiting the Oriental and Asian grocery stores in Sydney. I love the ones in Haymarket area. These shops are a treasure trove for traditional herbs, particularly ginseng. Ginsengs have been used for centuries to support the body through stress, fatigue, depletion. They're great adaptogens. What I love about them is that they don't force the body. They help rebuild your resilience by strengthening your body's ability to adapt, and thus the word adaptogen. And that's really the theme of what we're talking about today and what I'm sharing with you today. I don't want us to look at suppressing stress, but I want to talk about supporting the body so it can respond, recover, and rebalance naturally from stress. So, today, I would like to create with you something for your stress. I will create extracts from here. So, I've already brought out my herbs. I've got my, don't know if you can, oh no, you can't see this, but I've got my pot there and I'm going to be sterilizing my bottles. I use bottles from home, and this is something that I discussed in my live. And I use my St. Dalfor if I just want a small amount of my extracts. We love St. Dalfor in this house, so if I want about maybe a 200 mil, am I correct? That's 200 grams. This is 284 grams that it creates, but that kind of gives me more or less about a 200 mil herbal extract, which is what I want. I don't want to have too much because I only have a year left, actually 11 months left here in Fiji. So I want to just create what I can actually consume. But you learn all that. You learn how to create stuff, create extracts, create tinctures from home using what you have Okay, so it's not too difficult. And depending on how concentrated, how amazing, or sorry, I wouldn't say amazing. A lot of our simple herbs are amazing, but depending on what types of herbs you want to work with, we will discuss in that course how you get access to them, what the good ones are, and if you're growing them, how to grow them properly and how you can harvest them. So, but um I'm not doing that right now. I will share with you though what I will be putting in what my husband and my patients call my witch's brew. Okay? It's called my witch's brew because I create them. And you can create anything from something for cough, for colds, for fever, for sleep, for inflammation. Anything that your body needs, you can actually create from what's growing around you. And in some cases, you'll have to buy specialized stuff. So, for my own cortisol supporting herbal mix, I will be using astragalus. I have this astragalus that I bought from the Chinese store. You can see that. Yeah. And I am going to be using rhodiola. So I have my rhodiola here. This is my brand. Oops, can you see that clearly? Yep, that's my brand, Herbs for Life. Okay. We are also going to be using lemon balm. Okay. So a lot of these herbs I grow myself and I actually harvest. Um, they're grown without pesticides and what have you. And so they're cleaner, stronger, more potent herbs. Okay. I will also be using here ginseng. Again, this is one of the ginsengs that I had bought from the Chinese Asian store. And Chinese Asian, that's right, because not all Asians are Chinese, right? Okay. I also will be using cinnamon. So that's cinnamon. I did not grow this cinnamon. I did purchase organic cinnamon. And we will be using bacopa. And here's my bacopa. Okay. So did I give you everything? Yes. So we have astragalus, rhodiola, ginseng, bacopa, lemon balm, and cinnamon. So all those herbs that I've chosen are herbs to support stress, resilience, nervous system balance, and overall vitality. If you'd like to learn how I create my extracts, how I combine them properly, how I determine dosages, I'd love again to invite you to join me for my herbalism course starting the 17th of January. It will only be Saturday afternoon classes. And if you can't attend live, the recordings will be available for you to watch in your own time. But before anything else, before we finish today, I want to make sure that I leave you with something simple and practical that you can create on your own. Something that, you know, we can make together and something that can help you start off 2026 right. Okay. So I want to leave you with a very, very simple and practical herb. Let me just heat my water. I'm going to be using my percolator. Is this a percolator? I can't remember what it's called. My brain's just gone blank. You can use different. You can have like a teapot that you can use for this one, but I'll show you what I use and how I do it so that you can do exactly the same. What I'll be sharing with you is a tea that I call my gentle stress reset tea. It's calming, it's grounding, and it's safe for most people. And it's perfect for daytime or early evening. Okay. Ingredients we'll be using is chamomile. Where is my chamomile? I will be using my chamomile, but you can also use tea bags for this one. We will be using, so chamomile, I think one of the things that I need to remind you, chamomile can actually be planted. I used to plant chamomile in Canberra. My mom grew chamomile as well in California. It's an amazing gentle nervine to have in your garden. It helps calm the nervous system. It reduces reactivity. It supports the body when it's stressed, when there's tension. It's an amazing herb as well for digestion, right? Because when you're stressed, your digestion can be quite sensitive, all right? Okay. So the second one that we're going to be using is lemon balm. Again, I'll be using my herb here. You guys can choose to use the tea bags, lemon balm tea bags. Just put that together so I don't forget chamomile and lemon balm. And you can use what you call it. You can buy it from the shops. You can buy dried tea leaves from the shops. So lemon balm again is one of those that's so easy to grow. When I grew them in Canberra, oh my goodness, I was very happy because lemon balm's a great herb to have. It's great for iced tea. But one thing, one piece of advice to remember is that lemon balm can grow wild. Okay, so when it's happy with your garden, it tends to grow everywhere. All right, so some people don't like that, and if you don't like that, make sure you plant them in a pot. So, but I love lemon balm because it helps ease anxiety. It supports emotional balance. It's it gives you a gentle lift. Okay, it basically is great for chronic stress. It's amazing for sleep, for mood, also for digestion, and it gives tea a beautiful light flavor. So that's why I love lemon balm. Lemon balm looks like peppermint in a way, tastes differently and smells differently. Okay, so just be aware of that. Make sure you're planting the right thing. Gotu kola is another one that we will be using. You can use gotu kola interchangeably with violets. So as I mentioned earlier, gotu kola supports stress, resilience, mental clarity. It helps the body respond to stress, and that's why I want to add it here. But if you don't have gotu kola, use violets because violets have similar reactions and they're both gentle for the nervous system. Okay, I will be using actually violet. So this is the violet because I've got a lot of violet, dried violets from what I've harvested when we were in Canberra. And I need to use them up because I can't bring them back home. Because I need to finish up all my herbs here in Fiji because I can't bring it back to Australia. So I am going to use that up. Another one that we're going to be using is turmeric. You can use fresh or you can use powdered turmeric. Turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, and it's one of those really amazing Ayurvedic herbs. It's great for stress. It's been present for a long time. Chronically elevated cortisol is often paired with low-grade inflammation, so turmeric helps calm that underlying inflammatory response. And when it does that, when it reduces inflammation, turmeric indirectly supports healthier cortisol rhythm. Okay, so it helps your body recover more efficiently from stress, which is what we want. We don't want to do a drastic, suppressing of our inflammatory response. We want it to be a natural reaction. The more natural it is, the less stressful it is for the body. You can also add black pepper to activate turmeric. I will not be using that because I'll be using a different turmeric, and I'm going to be sharing that with you in a bit. You can also add a little raw honey or lemon to make it taste much better. I don't usually put honey or lemon to my tea. I use just herbs, but you can if you want to. So we're going to do this together. I've got my gadgets here. We're gonna put some hot water first, about this much because it's gonna be for 2 people. And we're gonna measure our teas. So let me actually I can just put the tea first and then we'll put the hot water afterwards. So you can see all my bottles that I'm washing because I'm going to be sterilizing them. Now, With our chamomile, we are just going to be using a teaspoon. Again, you can use 1 chamomile tea bag for yours. I will be using 1 teaspoon of chamomile. I really love chamomile. Mind you, one of the things that you have to note about chamomile is that chamomile is one of those plants that actually gets a lot of insects. A lot of insects love chamomile. And when you buy chamomile, make sure you're buying organic chamomile because, again, the only way to get rid of those insects from chamomile is by spraying them. And I don't want anything in my tea. So make sure when you buy your chamomile tea, check that it's organic. Okay. The next one is lemon balm. Here is my lemon balm, and we are going to be using 1 teaspoon. If you're going to be using a tea bag, again, just add 1 lemon balm tea bag in your container. We are using our lemon balm leaves, okay? Putting it in here. And then we are going to be putting 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of gotu kola. If you don't have gotu kola, substitute with violet leaves. And as I said, I'm going to be using violet leaves. Now, I do like using 1 teaspoon because there's 2 of us having this. So I also don't want to put too little. And I love the properties of violet. Sorry, what am I saying? Violet. So I am putting my violet in here as well. Okay. So we now have 3 herbs in that. We have chamomile, we have lemon balm, and we have violet, all using 1 teaspoon worth. If you have the plants, you can actually use the fresh leaves. So usually when I'm in Canberra, I just harvest my herbs. You can do chopped fresh leaves for this one and just double it, because when they're dry they actually shrink, right? So instead of 1 teaspoon chamomile, for example, do 2 teaspoons of the chopped up fresh chamomile. Flowers are what we use, not the leaves. When you have lemon balm, again, you can do 2 teaspoons of fresh chopped lemon balm leaves. When you have gotu kola or violets, you can do the same. You do 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh violet leaves or gotu kola leaves. And last is turmeric. Now, turmeric can be quite strong, so we only want 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric powder. You can cut up fresh turmeric slices. I will be using my ukon tea. So this is my favorite turmeric herb actually that I use. So I don't buy organic turmeric because this one is organically grown turmeric in Osaka, Japan. And it's one of my favorite forms that I use. I use it to make extracts. I use it to make my tea blends. I use it for my, oh my gosh, everything that I want with turmeric. I also won't be using pepper because the ukon tea already contains oils. So it's got perilla oil, it's got flaxseed oil. Now, these oils, like including olive oil and even primrose oil, actually help the body absorb the turmeric because turmeric is fat soluble. Okay, curcumin is fat soluble, which means that it absorbs better into our bloodstream when it's carried in by fats. Okay, so I'm not going to use black pepper. Instead, I'm just going to put in a bag of turmeric. And because I'm just sticking the whole bag in, I am going to get rid of this label. So that's what I have right now. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna put in our water. You can actually get the cup that you're gonna be using and just measure the water that you put in with that cup. I kind of just wing it and guess. So I will just be putting my boiled water on top. And that will be enough for us. And you actually just cover and steep that for about 10 to 15 minutes to let all the herbs um, to get the water to absorb the properties of the herb. Okay. So after 10 to 15 minutes, we steep it. And using this, we basically just plunge that. This is the plunger, not the percolator. There you go, the plunger. My brain started working. We basically plunge it down here so that the herbs don't go into your cup. Sometimes some of it does. It doesn't really matter. You can drink those. You can drink the herbs, right? Because they're just food. But if you don't like that, then you can just get another strainer and pour in your strainer into your cup. All right. And when you do that, you will have an amazing, refreshing tea that does not knock cortisol down. Instead, it tells our nervous system, hey, it's safe. And when the body feels safe, cortisol naturally settles, okay? And you eliminate cortisol. You can have this as a mid afternoon when stress tends to be at its peak. You can have it at early evening. Um, you can actually, because it's got chamomile, you can have it at night, so it actually helps you have a good night's sleep. Okay. Or have it when you're extremely stressed. So if the morning you wake up, you're already stressed, then have it. Because a tea is a gentle way of bringing all the properties of the herbs that you need to your body. There's nothing scary about it. Okay. A lot of people say, hey, but I'm taking all these medications. No, as tea, you're taking it as food, and it's okay. You get the properties, but you don't get an overwhelming amount of it into your system. And then I hope you enjoy that. Let me know how your tea will taste like. So it will start, the water will start absorbing the color of your tea. And don't I don't like keeping it in that water too long because it kind of gets too strong. But again, if you've left it and it gets too strong, all you need to do is add a little bit of boiled water and some honey to actually make it a more pleasant taste. This one for me is great. I don't usually need honey for these combinations. And it's not unless I have stuff like ginseng, oregano, those really strong tasting herbs that I actually need more sweeteners. And usually my sweeteners are herbs as well. So I use cinnamon, or I use stevia and all that. Oh, stevia as well. You can plant in your garden. Okay, the leaves of the stevia are so sweet, amazing, amazing. That's what's used for those artificial sweeteners. Well, I think that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you found this helpful. And remember, herbs are nature's creation, and they're here for us. They're here for us to enjoy. They're here for us to help ease what we're going through, rebalance our system. Herbalism doesn't have to be complicated. And again, sometimes it starts as a simple cup of tea. A plant you recognize differently becomes an amazing food or drink that actually helps you take care of yourself gently. So, hope you enjoyed that, guys. Again, happy, happy, happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing you in more of my lives. And if you're interested in my herbalism course, send a message, but watch out as well because I will be bringing out the posters soon on these pages. Have a great, great year. Great, great 2026, guys. Bye.